So in this video, I'm going to be talking to you about how to deal with people that hold you back. They can be in your personal life, which is mostly the case, your friends and family, or they can be in your professional life. But I have noticed that these relationships exist more in the personal life than in the professional life. Because in the professional life, you can make a lot of changes. You can change that job, you can get rid of the business partner. I mean, there is a lot of things that you can do effectively because you're not emotionally as attached to it, and you can get a lot of advice in that area. But in personal life, things can get really nasty at home, whether it's parents or friends or family, girlfriend, boyfriend, husband, wife. Those are the types of relationships that can get very complex, and it can have a tremendous effect on how you perform at work, in business, and even the way you structure your goals and dreams can be unconsciously driven by what your family and friends will allow you to do or not. So there might be certain dreams that you may have that you have not even written because you know what that would do to the relationship, and those dreams and goals are suppressed in a dormant state. So it can have a tremendous effect on your life. In fact, it can completely determine what trajectory your life goes based on the type of friends and family members that you have. And sometimes you can notice that they're holding you back, and sometimes you cannot notice it. Somebody else has to point it out, or you have to perform an analysis and then you will find it out. So I take some time off always to evaluate the relationships that I have, and I evaluate whether this relationship is holding me back or not. And it's not obvious. You have to look into it and then you will find it. So let's talk about it. How do you identify if someone is holding you back, and how do you deal with that type of situation? And we're going to talk mainly about the personal life because I think that's where most people need support. So, personal life is structured, personal relationships are structured between, something they are getting from you and something you're getting from them. It could be an emotional connection, some activities. For example, your wife or girlfriend may have power and leverage over you because she's doing the dishes or cleaning or giving you tea or listening to you, or in the bed, in the area of sex, women have a lot of power there. So she could exercise power in that regard, and you can have, the control of the house, income, maybe you're paying some bills, and that's your leverage. The other leverage she may have is she can be a pain in the ass, and she can cause a lot of pain to you, and she can start denying these things to you, and she can exercise control that way. Another example is the father. You may be living at your parents' house and your father controls the house. Your father controls, where you go and how you eat and what you drive, and then they have leverage over you. And friends may have leverage because you may be relying on them for some emergency situation or something else. Okay, so you get the point. And these are webs of relationships that we build, and then eventually these relationships really soothe us because these people are doing so many things for us that we are kind of relaxed in a nice bubble of comfort zone, and we don't want to disturb this. So the first thing that will happen when you set your goals and then you really try to put these people in those goals, you will find that none of them actually exist in your goals. In fact, none of them are even relevant to the big dreams and goals you have. And soon you will realize that either they will have to follow you or come with you to achieve the same thing, and you can create a synergistic relationship, or you will have to let them go. So there are really two options. If you have big dreams, big goals, if you are someone who wants to be a high performance individual, achieve big dreams, kind of like the legends, Kobe Bryant, or business icons like Elon Musk, those types of individuals have relationships based on the dreams and goals that they have. They don't have relationships just purely based on emotions. They have relationships based on their dreams and goals, because their relationship is with their goals and dreams. So you have to sit down and identify your goals and dreams. Once you do, you got to really assess whether these people are going to be connected to you in that life or not. If they are not, unfortunately, you will have to let them go. Irrespective of the history, irrespective of what you have done together, irrespective of the cost that you have to pay for losing that relationship, or you can pay the cost with your goals. But there's always a cost to stay in the relationship. There's always a cost to get out of the relationship. And you have to evaluate both and make a decision. So one strategy to deal with people that hold you back or keep you where you are is to eliminate. And that's probably one of the most effective strategies. The other strategy is renegotiate. So if that relationship is something really important to you, you got to sit down with the person and you have to have the talk. You got to share about your dreams and goals, no matter how nasty or crooked they may seem to you, but they are your dreams, right? So you got to share them, you got to declare, you got to open up about it, and you got to also present the case of what would be the cost involved from their standpoint, from your standpoint, and whether that dream is important enough for them to pay this cost or not. For example, I'm going to be out of the house 12 hours or 10 hours or whatever. They have to be okay with that cost. If they're not okay with that cost, they will have to go. And I have had so many relationships, 15-year relationship, 20-year relationship, that I just had to let go because my dreams were too important to me. You get one life and you have only so much time for so many people. And if you're giving priority to your goals and dreams, you're talking to a whole bunch of people who are related to those goals and dreams, and the personal life will start to suffer. And in fact, the personal life starts to reduce in size because you want the time to execute. And if you haven't had this conversation with them, what will start to happen is that you would try to pursue your goals, and these relationships will start to drag you in this direction, and you're trying to drag yourself in this direction, and they're trying to drag you in this direction, and that causes resistance, frustration, anger on both the parts, and that environment becomes extremely toxic for you to survive in. So what you need to do is you need to sit down and think about it and have the talk. And there is only two ways. Either you give up, actually three ways. Either you give up your dreams and you keep the relationship, or they come with you and fulfill that dream with you. There is an alignment. That's going to be the most ideal scenario. But if that doesn't happen, the final scenario is you got to part ways, and you have to create an agreement there. You have to agree that we are parting ways. It cannot be something that you have not talked about. It has to be something that needs to be communicated so that they can go move on and do whatever they want to do, whether it's friends, whether it's family, whether it's relationship, spouse, whatever it is. And there is going to be a price to pay to take action, because action happens in time and space, and time is limited. So if you want to execute on one thing, by default you're not executing on something else, so that thing will suffer, and that thing will be the cost for this thing that you want. So there's always a cost involved. Sometimes it's financial, sometimes it's time, sometimes it's emotional cost. And that's the hard truth of life, is that we have limited time, we're going to die, and we have dreams and goals that are important to us, and some things are more important to us than the other, and one will have to take the priority. And I would like to leave you with one of the quotes from one of my mentors, and he said, "Prithvi, write down a list of 10 goals that you have in the order of priority." Okay? So if you have a number one goal in the order of priority, write 10 goals. And then he said, "You know what? I'll tell you something. if you can have the first three, I'll tell you, you can have the first three goals on your list, but you must promise yourself, you draw the line, on after the first three items, draw a line, and you must promise yourself that you're not going to spend any time or any attention to any of the list below the third, goal number 3. And then you can have the first 3. Okay, so at some point you got to take a decision. I don't think I completely agree with that, but I'm just saying that definitely in terms of personal life, that those aspects have to be sacrificed for something bigger, and if you have big goals, if you don't, then I guess it doesn't matter. But if you didn't have big goals, you wouldn't be watching this video. So think about it, what I said, and look at the relationships that you have and evaluate whether they're holding you back or not. And the only way you will find that out is if you write down your goals, because the relationships will hold you back only in the context of the goal. If you don't write your goals down, you will not know if something is holding you back or not. When you write it down, you will know. I'll talk to you soon.